House Intelligence Committee Chairman Adam Schiff said cell phone records obtained by impeachment investigators show considerable coordination among White House officials who Democrats believe tried to bribe Ukraine, the government officials, into investigating Joe Biden and Democrats. A 300-page impeachment report that was issued yesterday afternoon includes records of calls between President Trump and his personal lawyer. Between President Trump and his personal lawyer. How? What? Excuse me? Schiff said the calls mirrored the impeachment inquiry's determination that the Trump administration coordinated to bribe Ukraine into investigating Trump's political opponents by dangling the $391 million in security aid. The records in the report include several calls between Giuliani and the top Republican on the Intelligence Committee, Devin Nunes. I find it deeply concerning at a time when the President of the United States was using the power of his office to dig up dirt in a political rival that there may be evidence of members of Congress complicit in that activity, said Schiff. AT&T provided the call records likely under subpoena. Who granted that subpoena? How do you go and get a subpoena for the records of the guy who is sitting on the committee as your co-chair without your co-chair knowing about it?
Particularly when you're trying to make the case that it's wrong to use your power to investigate your political opponents. Their entire case is based on you should not be doing those things. Now, my guess is they got the records from the other side, right? It's from Lev Parnas or one of these other guys, and they're trying to show.
No, I've got the records here that show calls from Rudy Giuliani to Devin Nunes. Let me give you one. Hang on just a second. Let me show you what they have.
Amazing.
At 12 o'clock, 36 seconds Eastern time on 4/10/19. Rudy Giuliani called Devin Nunes. The duration of the call was 35 seconds. Then 12:10:35, Devin Nunes called Rudy Giuliani. The duration of that call was 0 seconds. Then on the same day at 12:10, Devin Nunes called Rudy Giuliani back. The duration of that call was 31 seconds. Then at 12:12, Rudy Giuliani called Devin Nunes, and that call lasted 2 minutes and 50 seconds. Then, after that, Rudy Giuliani called Devin Nunes, and the duration of that call was 0 seconds. So that's pretty damn incriminating right there. What that shows you is somebody was trying to get a hold of him, and then he called back, and then the other guy called back, and they kept missing each other. They're playing phone tag. They never talk to each other, and when they do, they're on the phone for 2 minutes and 50 seconds. Wow. What kind of diabolical plot could you possibly hatch in 2 minutes and 50 seconds? Now, our chief researcher, Jason Buttrill, has read the entire House report and is ready to give us his reading of this. First of all, your first thoughts on this?
It feels like the Soviet Union. That was my first. That was my first thought after seeing that. I have no idea. Even if you're getting a warrant for getting some of these things, first of all, you can't go through FISA. I saw a lot of people asking me on social media if they could use FISA because you can't use FISA, so that's out. It has nothing to do.
Why can't you use FISA?
Because it has nothing to do with a foreign national and collecting intelligence. So FISA is completely out. A warrant, you need some kind of criminal proof to get that granted. So I don't know. I mean, this is
there any indication in the report that they did get a warrant? Because it just says likely issued a warrant. Well, likely, that should be led someplace that, yeah, we did get a warrant. You don't get phone records for anybody without a warrant.
I mean, this is why you use the House Intelligence Committee. I mean, this is one of the dirtiest things I've ever seen. Would Ken Starr been able to say, hey, AT&T, give me all your phone records?
No, not without a warrant.
Not without a warrant.
And you're tracking the president's personal attorney and the President of the United States. And who's granting that? And with what evidence was that granted? If you have evidence, fine, let's see the evidence. And why was this put into the report? He's making this case that look at how dirty this is. They're all calling each other. Why is this in the report? If it was so important, why didn't you have anyone testify about that? Because they don't want it challenged at all. They just want to put that out there and then just leave it out there.
Is it possible this comes from another source, like the Southern District of New York? Because Giuliani has been reportedly being investigated over various things, and potentially that's where they're getting these records from. Although I don't know that's. I mean, it's not like they just share them. It's not like it's an overt legal process to be like, hey, we have an investigation too. Here's all of our stuff. That shouldn't be how it works, at least. But maybe that's where it came from.
That's the only thing I can think of is the Southern District of New York.
Because they seem to be doing the work.
Yes.
I mean, straight out of the Democratic Party.
Yes.
Right? Where they just everything that is conveniently investigated comes from there. Now, look, I don't know. Some stuff, they have found legitimate problems with some of the people in the orbit of these storylines, but that doesn't mean that it started with the best of intentions.
Why couldn't you use FISA on Rudy Giuliani? Because he was talking to foreign nationals.
But
you'd have to do it on Parnas, right?
In this context, yeah, but he's an American citizen, isn't he?
I don't know the answer to that, actually. Is he dual?
I'm fairly sure he's an American citizen, so you wouldn't be able to use a FISA
Are they both?
warrant against him.
Yeah.
I think they're both American citizens.
Okay.
So my question is, because I want to get into this a little deeper here in a second, but my question is, first question, is there any outrage? Is anybody going to do anything? Is anybody today going to demand answers? Where is the outrage from the Senate and the House?
Where's the outrage from the media? One of their own was targeted in this. John Solomon. They got the phone record.
He's not one of their own.
He
was
should be.
Until he started disagreeing with their storylines. This is absolutely one of their own.
This is crazy. They're now spying. They're now spying on just the House, not the administration. Just the House is spying on our president and his personal attorney. We have not seen if they have records and they got a subpoena. I want to see the evidence that allowed them to do this. There may be in the real world, in an actual republic, they would have to produce those documents and say, how did you obtain this warrant? And if you can show reason for obtaining this, but you're spying on a member of the press. You're spying on the president and his personal attorney. I mean, that is craziness. Look at, let's just say you are, you're being investigated for a crime and you didn't do that crime and you know you didn't do that crime. And so you hire a really good attorney and you tell him, look, I'll tell you what I think is going on because if it's not my head, they're going to demand blood. So who's doing this to me? Who's setting me up? You have a personal attorney, and he starts to do investigations to be able to exonerate you. But you're up against the United States government, and the United States government just goes and gets all of your phone records between you and the attorney and then tracks what your attorney is going to and who he's talking to. Do you realize how dangerous this is? If they can do that to the president of the United States and his personal attorney, do you think they'll hesitate for a second to do that to any of us? This is madness.
If you're looking for any proof to justify what they did in the report after a long night of reading that bad boy, you're going to be disappointed because there's nothing in that report. You can read their page-and-a-half summary and pretty much get everything that you're going to find in the
In fact, report. You're going to get old news that we have already shown is not true. With audio tapes, with documents, with court cases, we've already shown you that these facts are not true, but it's in there as if they're facts.